Hey, what's up guys, Rip here. So today we're going to be talking about the DICE Awards and some controversial comments made by its host, Greg Miller, and a lot of people are re-examining his history and they're trying to explain why he might be one of the most toxic people in the gaming industry. Now before we get into all that, what are the DICE Awards? Well, it's essentially an annual award show for the video game industry. It's basically their attempt at the Academy Awards. So based on that, you can kind of get the vibe here, right? It's basically a giant communal circle jerk of a bunch of weirdos from California trying to pat themselves on the back while they basically continue on with their public activism while they're skinwalking as members of the industry. That's pretty much what's going on here. And as you can see, they're very out of touch with the pulse of gamers. No one cares about the DICE Awards. You can see it's gotten 40,000 views in 3 days. Clearly, nobody cares about this event. Now, a lot of people are talking about this event, but not for good reasons. They're talking about it because of the comments made by one of the hosts, Greg Miller. So Greg Miller would not only host this, but he would also post this clip onto his Twitter account saying, "Happy Valentine's Day, America." And this is a clip of him and basically his opening dialogue where he says some very disparaging things about a lot of people who are potential customers in the gaming industry.
My favorite games, Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, is nominated for Online Game of the Year. Get your hands together. Yeah. Thank you, Rod. Of course, that is a game that takes real skill.
It does. Yeah, and I'm not trying to flatter everyone here, but if I know one thing about this audience, is that none of you had to pay someone to play Diablo for you.
It's hard to level up your own characters when you're dismantling democracy.
Oh
I feel
boy.
like we're in good company here, but just in case for the people online, if you get mad at that joke, it's Greg Miller. G-R-E-G.
M-I-L-L-E-R. Fuck Elon Musk and fuck Donald Trump.
Wow, stunning and brave performance by Greg Miller right there. I'm sure they definitely care about your opinions. Obviously, right off the bat, that's a very divisive thing to say. You're already alienating the majority of Americans with those statements, which is just clear activism, as usual, infecting an award show. And as you heard too, after he said those comments, the whole crowd cheered. That's the gaming industry, by the way. They hate you if you have wrongthink. If you don't share the same values as them, you're as good as gone. They don't want you around anymore, and that's why the industry is failing. Whether you're a conservative, a liberal, or something in between, everyone should be able to recognize that this is just performative activism. These people have to take every public space necessary to share their views, but not just share their views, but alienate everyone else who doesn't agree with them. This is everything wrong with the gaming industry, and everyone should have a problem with stuff like this. Now, I also want to point out the unbelievable irony of Greg Miller saying F Elon Musk. Meanwhile, he's posting this clip on Elon Musk's platform, and then you might notice there's a blue check mark next to his name. He is paying for Twitter Premium. He's giving Elon Musk money every single month while claiming to hate him. But you might also notice this extra badge in his name. That is because he is one of the creators of Kinda Funny. Now, you might notice something pretty interesting about Kinda Funny. They have a yellow badge, a golden badge in their name. Do you know how much that costs? It costs $1,000 a month. This guy is paying Elon Musk $1,000 a month to have a gold check mark in his name while claiming to hate him so much. I don't know if this is some kind of a weird humiliation fetish at this point, but it is very ironic he's saying that while doing these actions. But people were absolutely eviscerating Greg Miller in the replies. He was getting ratioed by multiple users. This is not his circle jerk over at the DICE Awards, okay? People are clearly not on his side on Twitter. The comment section is 99% against Greg Miller. You can see comments like this. "One thing gamers hate is a sore loser," looking at the election results right here. "No one cares what dipshit hipsters care about, bro. So edgy. This is why gamers hate video game journalists. Keep virtue signaling. What inspired you to do something both so stunning and so brave? What a cringe-worthy way to waste a big moment for yourself." Yeah, basically, nobody's having this. And then you see this comment from Jeremy, who's from Geeks and Gamers. He actually ratioed Greg in his own reply section saying this: "We still remember when you canceled your best friend over a simple joke. F off." So this requires some context. Who he's referring to right now is Colin Moriarty. Okay, this is someone who used to be best friends with Greg Miller, and not only best friends, but also business partners on the Kinda Funny show, okay? So back in 2017, Colin Moriarty was literally canceled. People use the phrase canceled all the time, but this guy was actually canceled over one tweet. He made one tweet in 2017 that basically flipped his world upside down. And you can see people from Kotaku, Jason Schreier, back when he was working with them, made this article saying Kinda Funny co-founder Colin Moriarty leaves YouTube group after controversial joke. Well, he had to resign as a result of everything going on and the firestorm he was facing. Now, what is this joke? What is this joke that caused so much backlash that it turned his life upside down? Brace yourselves. It's a very, very dangerous tweet. So when there was a hashtag going around on Twitter called hashtag a day without a woman, he used that hashtag and said, peace and quiet. That's it. Life turned upside down. You are canceled for this. I am so glad we are pushing back against this nonsense in 2025. Like, this doesn't work anymore, and I'm very glad that it doesn't. But this led to an absolute firestorm for Colin, and basically got him completely ousted from the industry, at least temporarily. He would definitely turn things around, but for the moment, in that moment right there, he had to walk away from Kinda Funny, and he had a barrage of articles made about him, including from people, he knew in the industry, now turning on him over this very simple joke that, by the way, you would see in like a PG-rated sitcom, or like even your pearl-clutching grandmother wouldn't be offended by. But look at some of these article headlines from back then. Kinda Funny's Colin Moriarty resigns after targeting women in racist joke. I'm sorry. Where was the racism in this joke? I mean, they just straight up lied in these headlines. There's no other joke. This is the joke they're referring to as racist. Now, of course, the International Business Times, after getting absolutely crapped on, would have to do a correction, saying their previous headline and version of the story inaccurately described a joke as racist. Yeah, no kidding, but the damage is already done. You already printed the headline. You knew exactly what you were doing when you made this post, and only changed it because you got backlash. It was such an underhanded and dirty thing to do. And speaking of underhanded, this was Greg Miller's response to the entire situation. He essentially threw his best friend and business partner under the bus. He helped him get canceled by making a public statement denouncing the joke, even saying, was Colin's tweet a joke? Sure, but that doesn't make it okay. He threw his friend under the bus, his best friend, over that joke. This is the kind of person Greg Miller is. Now, things get even worse, as Flash points out here. Back before all of that, when Greg and Colin worked at IGN, Greg developed cancer. And while he was sick, Colin picked up the slack and helped him with his workload. He tried to make it easier for him when he needed extra help because he was ill. That was what happened. And then you fast forward shortly after that, then he puts a big knife in the back of Colin the second it was convenient. He didn't stick up for his friend. In fact, he helped the cancel mob try to ruin this guy's life. Now, the good news here is that he would turn things around. But let's just listen to his reaction from years ago when he was on the Michael Malice show here. This was his reaction to everything going on when it happened.
Good. One of the things I said was, you kind of can't help but take it really personally, that no one gives a shit. Like, no one out there who knew you, worked with you, even lived with you, shared a cubicle with you, traveled with you, is being like, whoa, racist? Like, what? So that silence allows things to become quote unquote real. And I think that's one of the things that bothers me most about talking about cancellation, is everyone's always like, oh, it doesn't matter. This isn't really happening. And I'm like, what? It matters to the person who it happened to.
Of course it matters.
And the precedent that it sets. So unfortunately, people not stepping up and maybe saying, protecting me in quotes, maybe had detrimental effects down the line on the next person because no one showed that necessary bravery. That's why it was important for me to stand up immediately and be like, I'm not apologizing. I'm doing something else. I'm still here. I'm still going to work. I'm still going to work hard. I'm going to do the best I can. And, that's it. But
so yeah, that really was an example of being canceled and a terrible precedent, right? That you can flip someone's life upside down over the smallest joke, and to the point where people in the industry, even your friends, don't feel empowered enough to speak up for you or to defend you, especially when it comes to baseless and ridiculous accusations like the racism allegation, and just, not forgetting the fact that this is all over a dad joke. That's how simple this joke was. This is something that nobody should have been offended by in the first place, let alone allow someone to get canceled because of that. But that's the real sting there, that no one would really stand up for this guy, including his best friend, who not only didn't stand up for him, but actually threw him under the bus. And that's, of course, Greg Miller. Now, looking at some of the other comments here, we have Craig making a comment here that I think is definitely very interesting, saying this. So the At Real Game Awards was labeled right-wing, and literally nothing political was said during our show at all. Does this mean that this award show is radical left-wing progressive, since Greg literally said F Donald Trump during it? Also, this was 100% scripted, so the award show signed off on it before they did it. That's exactly right. It's a really good point at the end. This was a scripted performance. The DICE Awards, they signed off on this. They said, this is okay. We approve of this. Put it in the show. That just tells you the kind of people involved in DICE and also the gaming industry as a whole. But I bring this up too because about a month ago we talked about the Real Game Awards. That is something that Craig started. It's basically an award show made by gamers for gamers. It's supposed to be a response to the Game Awards and other award shows that are run by primarily journalists. It's an anti-journalist, anti-corporate type show that's supposed to be about gamers. And when this show came out, it was completely non-political whatsoever, and it was just a good, entertaining show. But people, even people who received awards during the show, came out and crapped on the show, crapped on Craig, called it a bigoted show, called it alt-rights, right-wing, all these things, despite nothing of that variety happening whatsoever. They just believed that something must be alt-rights if it's not falling in line with the regular journalist type shows that are accustomed to the mainstream. It was so embarrassing to see. It's something we talked about on this channel, some of the reactions of these developers who just completely crashed out over this. But we're going to label that show right-wing while not saying anything about the DICE Awards, which is clearly political. It's very, very hypocritical, and the divide there is very noticeable. But he would also point out this. The view count, we talked about this at the beginning of the video. They're sitting at 40,000 views after 3 days. And that was posted on IGN's channel that has nearly 19 million subscribers. Then you compare that to the Real Game Awards, which was streamed about a month ago, and they have nearly 70,000 views on that show, basically double the DICE Awards. And I'll do you one better, right? So the DICE Awards has 40,000 views. This video you're watching right now that's dunking on the DICE Awards, my video will have more views in the first 24 hours than the DICE Awards will ever get. That is a very sad state of affairs for every party involved with DICE, and that includes IGN and also members of the industry who clearly have no idea what gamers actually want or like. They care way more about politics, activism, and pushing their agenda than they do actually taking a second to understand what gamers want. What we saw during the DICE Awards was absolute crap that represents everything wrong with the industry and everything that's been snowballing over the past couple of years. And these people will literally continue behaving like this until they are completely out of a job. That's how embarrassing and how addicted they are to the way things are. They do not want to change. They don't want to introspect. They don't want to look at themselves in the mirror and say, wait, maybe we're the problem here. Maybe this is why the game industry is doing so poorly. But I want to point out one more thing. That wasn't the end of the jokes that were insufferable, by the way. But shortly after that clip, because everyone's talking about the clip on Twitter, there's some more from this that I think is very telling as to who Greg Miller is and who these people in the audience are. It's just embarrassing. Listen to this.
There was a lot of annoying culture war stuff around games in 2024.
Yeah, a lot of the talk revolved around women characters in games not being attractive anymore.
Yeah, and when I think about it, I have a very nuanced opinion on it, which is basically, who fucking cares? Have these people seen a woman up close before? What the fuck are we talking about, everybody?
Okay, well, that's embarrassing on multiple levels. Who cares? The customer cares. Clearly, look at the games that have failed because they have unappealing designs. Gamers care. They want these appealing designs. You're not paying attention. And again, why is this a hill to die on? It's such a strange thing. Then his comment, basically implying these people have never seen a woman in real life, which is your typical soy boy argument. Like, you don't have an actual argument. Oh, you incel. Blah, blah, blah. This whole thing is so embarrassing. Then he also kind of implies that women are ugly. Did you hear that too? Where he's like, have you ever seen a woman up close? Oh, so they're unappealing? What are you talking about, dude? But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that is killing the industry, and I don't feel sorry for any of these people involved. They're getting exactly what they deserve, and this is why Greg Miller is one of the most toxic people in the gaming industry. Unfortunately, he's like the Pedro Pascal of the gaming industry. He's in everything. But unlike Pedro, Greg Miller is clearly a person who has no moral fiber. He's someone who will turn on you and backstab you the second it's convenient, and he just has no real beliefs. He just wants to be an activist and to impress people in the industry any way he can, and no matter the cost. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comments section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.